first question of the day, of the night. It says, this is from who? This is, how do you make someone realize their wrongs wisely? And this is from John in KL. All right, so a couple things you have to understand right now is this. One second. So a couple things you have to understand is this. There is no single way. This is what wisdom is, right? Even wisdom tells us, can you use the same method for every single person to help everyone? And the answer is, you can't. Wisdom even proves to us, because each person is different, there's a different way to handle every person. And this is why, what is wisdom? You have to first gain wisdom more than anything else. If you want to gain wisdom, there's many different things you can do. You gain wisdom from experience. You gain wisdom from other people's experience. You gain wisdom from wise books. That's why I'm using the Bible, because it's a very, very wise book. And there's multiple different ways to gain wisdom. So in this way, you guys want to, become wise people. For me, to gain wisdom, I would need to, I would want to pray. I would read my Bible. I would talk to people who've been through the same experiences, and we'll realize that for each and every person, there's a different wise way to help them to understand what they're going through. So I'm not going to tell you guys hey, the wisest way is go tell them a story about a sheep that they stole from a poor person. It's not going to work for everyone, right? So that's why wisdom is something that goes by experience, by knowledge, and and learning from other people too. So definitely, it's something that we need to gain wisdom more and more each and every day, right? So it is a good question, but there's no one way to do it. The only one rule you can give is do it wisely. That's all we can really say. And this is why we need to check and try, find out experiences, other people's experiences, read a spiritual book like the Bible, and then gain from that. All right, John, great question. Let's go to the next question. Next question is all the way over there in Singapore. This is Sarah. Says, I have a friend and I think it's almost impossible to make them realize their wrongdoings. How do you deal with these people? And here it's going to be the exact same thing is, when we say impossible, it means that it is impossible with the method that you are using. You know what I mean? So if your method is always the same, like I keep telling her, like she's wrong, like, man, I keep telling you, but he doesn't listen, he's so stubborn. It means you're only using one method. Like, think about this. Has anyone ever thought of using a story to help people realize? And you're like, what? Why would I use a story? This is what Nathan did. And it really helped him. It was a different method than what other people would have done. But you have to understand is impossible means it is impossible for the method and the style that you're doing right now. Wisdom proves to us that there are multiple different ways for us to get to someone's heart. Why? Some people are introverts. Some people are extroverts. Some people have ADHD, right? Some people, are very stressed when they meet, or they're shy. There's so many different things that are involved that we have to get to know people really well and understand what is the best way to work with certain people. So is it impossible? No, it's never impossible. It's not. It's just people haven't found the right way, the wisest way to do it. And that's something that we have to learn as we talk to these people, okay? Sarah, great question. Let's go all the way over to Korea. We're going to Korea. And this is Ichigo she's from Mongolia, actually. Ichigo from Mongolia, who's currently living in Korea. If I can't forgive easily what that guilty person did, how should I forgive any situation? Okay. So if you can't forgive easily, okay, so here's the first thing is this. Number one is, the first sentence we have to split that off is, you can't forgive easily, right? So that's the first thing that you need to deal with yourself. And you need to figure out with yourself is, why can I not forgive easily, right? Because this is not about other people. This is actually about you. This first sentence is, I cannot forgive easily. And the first thing I want you to do, Ichigo, is to think to yourself is, I wonder why I can't forgive easily. Right? Because I'll give you an example of what human beings are like. And just human beings in general, this is what we are all like. If someone does something bad to us, we're like, rah, right? But if we do something wrong to someone else, we're like, oh, but you need to understand my situation. Oh, but I was going through a tough time. Oh, it was like that. Oh, I'm so sorry. It's really weird because when we do it, we expect people to understand. But when they do it to us, we're like, right? So what we need to understand is that first part of your question is you have to think to yourself, why can I not forgive easily? Like, what is stopping me from forgiving people more easily? Okay. Second thing, well, what's the second thing? Second thing says, someone did something bad to me. So then if I can't forgive in this situation, how can I forgive in any situation, right? And we have to understand is there are very, very, if you think about it from a very broad and a very general look at when people do bad things to us, honestly, there should actually be very few things that are unforgivable. Like very few. Like there should be so few things. Like, you know what I mean? Like there are some things that, yeah, that might be so terrible that everyone would understand, oh man, that's hard to forgive. But if you think about it in the large scale, there aren't a lot of things that are unforgivable, right? And this is why that first sentence, I cannot forgive, is each go, you have to first look at yourself and understand, I wonder why I cannot forgive. Is this the most terrible thing ever that is unforgivable? And you think to yourself, because I'll give you a question, Ichigo. Choose between these two options. Number one is living a joyful and free life, not having any anger towards people, but being free and joyful, or living a life trapped that whenever you see people, you get angry, you have no joy, you have resentment, you have guilt because you can't forgive. Like, which one would you rather have? And honestly, everyone would choose to live the free and joyful life. But you have to realize when you can't forgive someone, you are suffering more. You actually suffer a lot because you can't forgive, right? So that's why people have to kind of think about the two situations too. But yeah, that the one that's really, really important is you have to understand is this is kind of a situation for you. Your situation is, why can't I forgive? You have to ask yourself that question. What have I gone through in my life that makes it so hard for me to forgive people, right? And you have to really think about that deeply and say, maybe this is it, right? And then you need to start working on those things also, right? In the end, honestly, I'm gonna be very honest, very few things should be unforgivable. Very, very few. If not any, very few. Like there's some that are super understandable, but there's not really that many things that are unforgivable. The only difference is people are the ones that need to forgive. And that's why it's so hard, okay? So it's a great question. Something that a lot of people struggle with too, but something that we really have to think about. If you don't forgive, you lose joy in your life. You're not free, you're bound by this because every time you think about it, you're angry. Every time you see that person, you're so frustrated, right? So you have to think about, what's stopping me from forgiving people, okay? Great question. Thank you, Ichigo, all the way there in Mongolia. Let's go to the next question is, the Philippines. This is Alyssa Cuevas. Cuevas? Maybe Cuevas. Okay. Alyssa says, what if the person you want to correct doesn't listen to you and tends to become defensive? Yeah. And that's one of the things we're learning today is a lot of the times we are going too much into, let me show you what's wrong with you. Let me tell you what's wrong with you, right? But more than anything else, we have to allow people to understand what they're doing first. Because sometimes they don't know they're doing wrong, right? And let me give you an example. Usually when someone says something bad about you, the first thing we do is defend. That's a normal reaction, right? That's normal. It's like that's why Jesus, when he tells us to do these crazy things, we're like, how do you do that? For instance, Jesus says someone slaps you, turn your cheek. And you're like, wait a second, but if someone slaps me, the automatic reaction is, pah, right? That's your automatic reaction. It's not a normal thing to be like, and you turn your cheek. Like it's not a normal reaction for us to do that, right? And people most likely are going to be defensive more than anything else. And that's why with wisdom, we have to treat each situation differently and figure out what is the best way someone can realize what they've done. And sometimes there are situations I've seen in my life where there are people, they're defensive no matter what. But as you calmly go about the situation, they finally calm down. They say, you know what, you're right. So people have different arcs, right? Like some people get angry later. Some people get angry at the beginning. Some people don't get angry. And you just want to make sure that it remains a respectful conversation, and that people, that they'll understand your side. And I think more importantly, Alyssa, because one thing we can't do, and it's something I tell everyone not every week, but many times, is you can't control people, what they think and what they do. You just can't. Like when you go to someone and ask for forgiveness, there's no guarantee because you don't control what they think. What have you done to make it right? You cannot base it on the result. Why? Because there's only so much you can do. You can't control people. What's the best thing you can do is? The best thing you can do is at least explain your side. Tell them how sorry you are. And then, hey, I didn't mean to do this. Please forgive me, right? And then it's in their hands, okay? The same way when you're talking to people, one thing we have to realize is we can't make people realize. We can't make people understand. And sometimes we have to wait until the right time comes. Example, this example I'll give you is, you never want to correct someone when they're in the heat of the emotion. They're not thinking properly. When you're emotional, you don't think rationally, you don't think reasonably at all, right? Yeah, that's a normal thing. And that's why you wait till they calm down, meet them the next day instead, right? You got to have a plan. Let them calm down first, let them think about what they've done, and then meet with them and talk to them and see how they're doing, right? So it is one thing that you have to keep in mind is there's no guarantee they'll understand, and there's no guarantee that people forgive or get forgiven. All you can do is your part, right? Just do your part, right? And then it goes into their corner, right? So it would be really difficult if you based everything on what other people do, because then what if it never happens? Like you can't control people, right? So I hope that helps you out. Yeah, there are people that might not listen at that moment, but we need to be wise about it. For those of you who have faith, got to pray about the right timing, right? Ask God to open their hearts. And also we have to be the ones that think about it, get advice, and do it in a smart and wise way. All right, Alyssa, thank you so much for that. That's a great question. And we get to the last question of the day. I believe this is the last question. It says, this is from Mary Grace Arabasto from the Philippines. It says, I sometimes put the guilt on me whenever things don't work out well, even though I'm not directly involved. What should be the wise way to get myself out of it? Yeah, that is a tough thing, because I actually don't think it's too unhealthy, just to be honest with you. Because I do think what a healthy alternative is, you're looking to yourself. And I think when it becomes unhealthy is when it becomes, this guilt is like, oh no, it's all my fault. Well, I think the beginning point is good because, like I said, we can't control other people, but we can control ourselves. Which means it's good to put the responsibility on yourself and say, okay, you know what? I could have done something better. What can I do better now? More than, it's all my fault. Oh no, it's because of I did this and I did that. And then that's very unhealthy, because now it's just putting everything on you, and you're not even thinking about what you can do to change, right? To help the situation. So let's just say there's a situation that has nothing to do with you. Two of your other friends are fighting and you're going in to help them. It doesn't work out and you're like, oh, it's all my fault. And the answer is not your fault. You went in there to help, right? And what's the best thing you can do is, it's like, okay, it didn't work out. So I know this doesn't work out with with these two friends. So what's another wiser way to do it, right? So it's good to put it on yourself as in, what can I do better? But it should lead to an actionable thing more than just, it's all my fault. Why, right? Because that's unhealthy. But it's healthy when you say, you know what can I do better? Yeah, I could have done this better, and I could have made the situation much better too. What can I do better now, right? So I do hope that you don't put too much on yourself, or don't do it in an unhealthy way, but do it in a healthy way, because there's always something better you can do. And it's I don't want you guys to just kill yourselves over it. Think about, what can I do better next time? What can I do to help the situation, right? Instead of just taking everything and then have these terrible feelings for the rest of the day. Okay? I hope that helps you out, Mary Grace. Everyone, thank you so much for joining today. Once again, great mood, 1,000 subscribers. We are giving away a free 2020 iPad soon. So everyone have a wonderful day. Tell your friends. Make sure you keep on track with the Instagram. Make sure you follow me on Instagram and also on this YouTube channel. And we will announce very, very soon how this iPad giveaway is going to work. All right, everyone. Have a wonderful day and we'll see you guys again. Bye-bye.